So guys, first off, we got this dope cover, and guys, this cover looks amazing. You see Batman Red Death just racing to like the page right at us. In the background, you see like the skull, which that's a cool backdrop. You see a bunch of skulls just going down, and it just looks really cool. It's one of my favorite covers. And as we start out, we see like pretty much the narrator, who's guys, this issue is written by Joshua Williams, who has wrote the Flash series, which I really love that series, so it's perfect for this issue. And then it's drawn by, I can't really pronounce his name, it's he's like pretty much doing art on the Flash series in like Perfect Storm arc, like the very first arc with like Godspeed, and his art is really good. He just has a very long last name that I'm not gonna say, but still, his art's really good. It fits the tone of this book, and what we see is the narrator is like, stop me if you've heard this before. Worlds live, worlds die, and it's like, but in this dark multiverse, they pretty much are always meant to die. And it's pretty much all the evil versions, all the nightmares you can think of. So it's pretty much like reciting what the dark multiverse is, pretty much the nightmares of all the heroes that they never wanted to happen. But guys, we see this awesome image, which is actually really cool. It's just all these Earths just going like down and getting destroyed, which I really like. It's really good. And we actually shift, and it's like, this is a story of the rise of a Dark Knight. And we see Flash running, it's Earth 52 in the Dark Multiverse, and it's called Batman Red Death, Ride the Lightning, pretty cool. And Flash is saying, it's getting worse, Central City is coming apart. And it's like, you're the smartest man I know. Now, we don't know who he's speaking to. We saw his lightning getting shot, and Flash is pretty much getting hit by Captain Cold's gun. Well, Weather Wizard's lightning, Captain Cold's gun, which is like freezing, heat waves, fire, and you're like, where are all the rogues? Like, what happened to them? Well, obviously, pretty much Batman now is actually took all the weapons to the rogues and is using it against Flash. And Flash is like, why would you use those weapons? I've always beat the rogues, so you using these weapons won't help you. And Batman's like, you're always late, Flash. You never come on time. And he's like, that's why I need to take the Speed Force from you. And we see like Flash talking to him, and Flash is like, Batman, I told you, I can't give you my Speed Force. He's like, it's a bad thing. He's like, I've had loved ones that have died before, my mother, but I couldn't stop it. Like, Batman, you know all the ramifications that can happen if you change the timeline. And Batman's like, you don't understand. He's like, I've lost everyone. And Batman explains that, he's like, yes, you've lost people, but you could go back in time and save them. He's like, I've always tried to be everywhere at once, and I failed, and it cost me my family. And it shows like an image of all these graves, and Dick, Jason, Barbara, everyone in the Bat family is dead, except for Batman. And Batman's telling Flash, you have the power to go around and save everyone, but you're always late, you always lose. Where me, I've tried to be everywhere at once, but I can't. But if I have the Speed Force, I can do practically anything, I can save everyone, no one will ever die again. And you see Batman like use the mirror gun, and jumps through like mirror things, he's going through like buildings, and Flash is like, you can't get out of this, I'll stop you. He's like, you should use better weapons than Rogue's weapons. And Batman's like, you're right. And he just comes out with like his, it's like his Batmobile, but it's like upgraded, it has guns, it's shooting. He comes out of the wall, he's like, Batman's like, my toys are better, my pretty much weapons are way better than anyone else. And it's like, you didn't understand. If you came to me and needed help, I would help you with everything I got. But since you didn't help me at all, I'm going against you. And Flash is like, we can talk about this, Bruce. I know you're grieving, but I can help you out. And Batman's like, no. He's like, after my parents were murdered, I traveled the world to help, to pretty much become the Batman, learn the supernatural, learn martial arts, but it wasn't enough. He's like, I've always tried to stay like one step ahead, but Gotham takes and takes, and I can't outrun it. He's like, but if I had the Speed Force, I could do it. And Batman also explains that I'm getting old. I can't do anything that much anymore. I'm losing every battle, and if I got the Speed Force, I could be ahead of time. I can actually save more lives. And we see Flash, he's like, no, you can't do that, and they keep fighting, and Flash is like, I'm sorry for what happened to your family. Like, Flash actually like takes down the Batmobile, and Batman's on his knees, and Flash is like, it's fine, like, I can help you out, just get a hold of yourself, we can talk about this. And Batman's like, you're right, you're a good friend. And I'm like, what's going on here? Is Batman actually turning back to good? He's like, this is the Dark Multiverse, so obviously not. And Batman's like, he actually is like, I've always liked your compassion, Flash. You've always accepted me. You've always helped out. And Flash's like, it's okay. And he touches Batman's shoulder, But then Flash is frozen with the same stuff that Mr. Freeze uses to pretty much keep his wife in containment. So it freezes you a lot. And Flash starts freezing, but Flash's Speed Force goes against it, but gives Batman enough time to punch him right in the face and knock him out. Now, Flash wakes up, right? And Flash is like, where am I? And he's actually chained to the front of the Batmobile. Like, this is crazy. And Flash is like, what? What are you doing? And we see Batman in the Batmobile, and he's like shooting guns. He's going toward us. And Batman tells him, I studied your designs for the cosmic treadmill, and he's figured out a way to pretty much give himself the Speed Force, but he needed Flash. So he's gonna pretty much have Flash in the front of the Batmobile and go head on into the Speed Force. It's crazy playing, guys. And Flash's like, Bruce, don't do this. And Batman's like, I made a mistake when I had made a vow to my parents. I said I would save Gotham City. I wasn't thinking big enough. I need to save the world. Like, this is actually a big moment for him. And we see him like just drive into the Speed Force. And the next page, we see him going, and Flash is like, you can't do this. The Speed Force will tear us both apart. We'll die. And we see them both like disintegrating as they go into the Speed Force. And Flash is like, there's still hope. You can stop this, Bruce. And Batman's like, I'm sorry, Barry, but if we come together, we can save the whole world. Just think about it. And we see him get disintegrated, and then we shift to Gotham City. And we see red skies. Guys, we know when we see red skies, it's like a crisis. And we see all these different criminals are killing people. It's chaos in Gotham City. And we see reporters pretty much saying that it's like the worst it's ever been in Gotham, with the worst like crime rate. It's the worst time, like Gotham will not be able to come back from this. And we see like a couple running down the alley, and they're afraid of all this. And this girl's like, I'm so afraid. And Scarecrow jumps out of nowhere, and he's like, yeah, you have the phobia of doomsdays, which is pretty much like crisis. Like, she's afraid of crisis. And he's like, don't worry, I can deal with that. And he gets his freaking axe, he's about to kill him, but that's when we see Red Death come through and split him in half. He kills Scarecrow, and he says, my name is Bruce Wayne. I am vengeance. I am vengeance. I am justice. I am Batman Red Death. And we see Barry pretty much speaking in the background saying, Bruce, don't do this. So Batman, or Bruce, has taken over the Speed Force. He's fast now, but he also has another, like, he has Barry in his mind pretty much trying to stop him. So that'll come in play later in Dark Knight's Metal. But guys, we see this, and then we see this whole like page of like Batman Red Death killing Scarecrow, killing the Riddler, killing Penguin, killing Man-Bat, like pretty much just splitting them all in half, which is pretty gruesome. But we see him like remove all crime in Gotham. He's like, I'm saving the world. And we see him go through, and he's like, what's happening to the sky? We see pretty much the sky is tearing apart. And guys, the multiverse, the monitor has actually explained this in past DC continuity, that if you do something in your world that doesn't go with like the timeline, you switch things up, like having Batman get the Speed Force instead of Barry, it can cause friction and cause like something bad to happen in this world, so that it destroys itself. And that's what's happening here. We see this world just coming apart. And guys, for it to be in the dark multiverse, that's what happens all the time. Worlds pretty much, they don't live, they die eventually. And we see pretty much Bruce like, I did everything I could. And we see this other guy from the background, the Batman who laughs, walk up. He's like, I know what you're feeling. My world's destroyed too. And we see Barry try to get out. He's like, don't listen to him, Bruce. And Bruce is like, I'm not listening to you. And Bruce talks to the Batman who laughs, and Batman laughs is like, this world's getting destroyed. But what if I told you there's another world that you could save? And Red Death's like, count me in. That's when he joins the forces of Barbados. So then we shift to Earth Zero, the first world in the multiverse, which is our world, and we go to Central City, the city where the Flash lives, and we see Iris, Wally talking, and this tells us that this issue is actually set before Dark Knight's Metal number 2, but after Dark Knight's Metal number 1. And Superman, all the heroes are looking for Batman, because like we know, Batman, when they went to Black Hawk Island to talk to Hawkgirl, he actually escaped with Nithmel, and he's gone missing. So Superman, all the heroes are going after them, and Damian Wayne, Batman's son, actually talked to Wally, because they're friends, and Damian's like, you have to do something, and Wally's like, no, I got my own business to deal with. I was just like, there's some bad stuff going on. This is kind of suspicious. What's with this whole Nithmel? What is Batman going after? And Wally's like, we don't have to worry about that. We're safe. Central City is safe. We have our own hero, right? And now it's like, yeah, you're right. We have the Flash. And that's when we see these bats come by. And we see these bats pretty much go and hit people. These people are pretty much dying. by the Speed Force. And we see Red Death show up, and he's like, oh, the Flash family. And Barry, inside his mind, is like, no, get away, Iris, don't hurt them. And we see Iris, she's like, I killed a speedster before. And guys, at this point in the Flash comic book series, Iris actually destroyed Reverse Flash, actually killed him. So she's kind of being brave, and she's like, you can't pretty much scare me, Red Death. And Red Death's like, okay, we'll see about that. And then we see Wally, and he's pretty much turning old. The Speed Force is like reversing it. So instead of them going like super fast, and they're like super young and stuff, now they're slowing up, and they're turning old. And the same thing happens to Iris. She's getting old, and Red Death's like, there has to be sacrifices. Your hero will know that. And that's where Barry runs in. He's like, there's not going to be no sacrifices in this city. And he starts chasing Red Death, and Flash is like hit with the bats, and he's like, I'm aching, I'm feeling old, and Flash, this is affecting him too, so he's getting slower, and Flash is like, what happened to you, Bruce? Is this what happened to you when you left Black Hawk Island? So Flash actually thinks when Batman left Black Hawk Island that he got the Speed Force, he became this evil speedster, when this is actually an evil Batman from the Dark Multiverse. And Red Death's like, he's about to like kill Flash, but then Flash's like, I've always knew you, Bruce, you've always had compassion. And Red Death's like, what? This makes him hesitate, because that's the same thing that he told a Flash in his universe. And as he hesitates, that's when Dr. Fate comes in and pretty much pulls Barry away quickly, and he escapes. And Red Death's like, yes, Flash, run away. I'm going to take over Central City, and I'll kill you eventually. And we see all Central City pretty much crumbling apart, just like Red Death's world in the Dark Multiverse. We shift back to like the reader of this storyline, who is pretty much Joshua Williams, or the narrator, and they say all it takes is one bad day. And guys, you know that's a reference to the Killing Joke. And we see here that like it says like all it takes is one bad day, but if there's one bad week, the whole multiverse would be collapsing. And we see Red Death, he's running around with the Batman Lash just laughing about this. And that's how the issue ends, guys. Pretty crazy issues. One of my favorite issues of this whole evil Batman tie-ins. But guys, with the explaining part out of this video, let's get to my review on Batman Red Death #1. So guys, this issue was pretty dope. It was cool. I like seeing like Batman and Flash like a hybrid. They come together, and he's pretty evil. We see like Batman just playing this all out, using like the Rogue's weapons, using his big Batmobile, and then like running Flash into the Speed Force. Like that's very interesting. And like seeing like him show up on our world and pretty much go after Iris and Wally, and they turn like old, and then Flash be like pulled away by Dr. Fate. Like Central City is just like collapsing. It makes it very dire. It makes like the stakes go really up, which is really cool. But yeah, guys, Red Death is one of my favorite tie-ins. It's really cool, and I really like to see him on the Flash TV show. Like, guys, honestly, like, we got a reference of him in Season 5 with the whole, when they're talking about DeVoe, different villains. No, it was talking about Cicada. It was in the Flash Museum. It was saying Cicada's one of Flash's worst villains. He did more deaths than, like, Reverse Flash in Red Death.
52 victims, and rising.
Wait, what? I knew he never caught Cicada, but he never stops killing.
Flash did everything he could. But Cicada killed more people than Zoom, or even the Red Death. And the way the city saw the Flash, his legacy, it was never the same.
And that was the only teaser we got. And all us fans have been like, oh, you brought Godspeed into Season 6, but are you going to bring Red Death into Season 7? Which I hope they do. Because they bring Red Death in, that means we may get Dark Knight's Metal type like crossover in the Arrowverse, and that would be pretty dope. Like, I'm not going to lie, that would be awesome. And guys, Red Death, there's so much you can do with him. Like, you don't even have, you can technically not do the Dark Multiverse thing. You can have him come from there, but not be like a central point in like the Flash Season 7. But it'd be really interesting to see that happen. Because just seeing like an evil Bruce Wayne versus Flash, that's just like a big thing they could do with the Arrowverse and pushing it forward. But guys, in the comment section below, tell me how you think Flash Season 7 could incorporate Red Death into it. Because obviously it's not going to be Season 6. There's only 4 episodes left, and we're barely into like the Mirrorverse storyline. Godspeed hasn't shown up yet, so they have to do all that first. But when we do get to Red Death, what do you think they'll do? How do you think the storyline will play out? What are your theories and opinions about it? But guys, overall, I'm going to give this issue a 9 out of 10. It's a great issue. Definitely recommend it. It's my second favorite in all the Evil Batman tie-ins. So guys, first off, we got this dope cover, and guys, this cover is amazing. You see pretty much the murder machine on top of like, I think it's his Batmobile. It has like a big type, like, it looks like a Black Mask type face. It has that, guns, shooting everything, Cyborg shot, and it's actually like shiny on the cover. Green Lantern's trying to shoot it, take it down. Flash is shot as he's running. You see Wonder Woman, she's shot. You see Superman, he's shot. Aquaman's trying to do something there in like the right. But all of them are trying to stop Murder Machine on this cover, but they're all getting shot by like the blast from his Batmobile, I'm thinking. But guys, it looks really cool and dope. I'm excited to explain this issue. Now, diving in, we see on Earth Zero, which guys, Earth Zero is our multiverse, so on the Earth that all the superheroes are. And this is like pretty much at Star Labs in Detroit, and we see Silas Stone, who's Cyborg's father. And pretty much all of this has been going down during like Dark Knight's Metal number 1 and number 2. So all these evil Batman Titans, actually guys, let me clear this up real quick. So, all the evil Batman Titans, Red Death, Batman the Murder Machine, Batman Drowned, Batman Dawnbreaker, and then Batman the Merciless, they're all in between Dark Knight's Metal number 1 and number 2. Now the Devastator and Batman Blast are between Dark Knight's Metal number 3 and number 4. So those are different. But the first 5 are between the first issue and the second issue of Dark Knight's Metal. So during that time, Batman stole a piece of Nith Metal from Black Hawk Island, and what happens, all the heroes are going after him. And pretty much then, he released the evil Batman, Barbados. So some of this actually, it's kind of in between like issue number 1 and 3. So during that time that issue number 2 in Barbados has come onto the world, all the evil Batman are let loose. And Cyborg knows this. He's telling Silas Stone, his father, hey, get out of there. Don't be in Star Labs. And Silas is like, hey, I'm trying to help out. I can do this. Star Labs is very protected. I'm not going to get hurt. Detroit is fine. You don't have to worry about anything. He's like, I've been studying this Nith Metal. Nith Metal is pretty much this whole thing that this whole storyline is based upon. And guys, Nith Metal pretty much kill the evil Batman. They can actually pretty much destroy them. That's how the heroes beat them. But Hero Silas doesn't know about that. All these heroes don't know about Nith Metal. It's actually kind of confusing to them. And that's what Batman's trying to figure out. And that gets them in danger. But here Silas is figuring out, and Cyborg's like, hey, you can't be doing this. This is going to get you in trouble. The evil versions of what's going on, like, Cyborg doesn't know that much that's going on, but he knows that something is coming to the Earth that's evil and Batman caused it. And Cyborg's like, you have to stay safe because they're going to be going after this Nith Metal. And Silas is like, hey, I've dealt with metal before that has been really dangerous. I even implanted in you. Cyborg is made out of the mother box. So Silas has dealt with, like, dark side stuff before, so this can't be that dangerous, right? But what we see next is Cyborg says, oh, I'm fine too, I'm safe, I'm at the watchtower, you don't have to worry about me. But then he's like, hey, somebody just like transported into the watchtower. He's like, it's Batman. And he goes up to walk through. He's like, okay, I won't need your help, Dad. And Cyborg's like, we can get help from Batman. And Cyborg then goes up to Batman, and we don't know who this Batman is. He's like, oh wow, did you get a new makeover? You look kind of like me a little bit. And it's the Murder Machine. He freaking blasts him, and from there what we see is the Murder Machine's right above him, and he's like, don't worry, Cyborg, I'm here to help. And he's just smiling. Now guys, what we see next is his origin story. This is on Earth 44 in the Dark Multiverse, and guys, it's months ago. You see all the Rogues Gallery led by Bane. Now, Bane pretty much has Killer Croc, Harley Quinn, Two-Face. You have different villains, and they're beating the crap out of Alfred. Like, they're punching him back and forth, and they're like, where is Batman? They're all looking for Batman. And Alfred's like, I don't know who Batman is. Alfred's trying to cover for Bruce, and then Bane's like, I know what'll make him talk. And he picks up Alfred, and then breaks him on his knee. Like, he pretty much breaks his back right there. Harley Quinn, all these villains are laughing. Bane's just breaking his back. Alfred is pretty much crying. He's yelling. And then we shift to pretty much a couple days later, and Batman has watched this replay over and over, seeing Alfred die. And Superman and the whole Justice League are there. They're in like suits and stuff. And they're like, you can't keep watching this, Bruce. I know he's your father and stuff, but this is very unhealthy. You're going to get crazy over this. This is going to make you sad. And Batman's like, he was my father. He helped me out. When my father and mother died, Alfred was there. He's pretty much like a surrogate father. Like, not his real father, but the father who took care of him this whole time. And Batman has always used Alfred as like that help. Like, when Batman didn't know what to do, when Batman was in a bad situation and he felt helpless, Alfred was there to help him. He's always been like that father figure. And guys, one of the best issues that actually illustrate this is by Tom Taylor, and it's Batman Annual number 3 right here. And guys, this issue you see pretty much after Bruce's parents died, Alfred woke up, went, saved him, took care of him. And you see like one crime scene, Batman goes after like villains, he actually gets in trouble, almost dies, but Alfred shows up, saves him. It shows that Alfred's always there for him, and Batman can't be himself without him. So this is like a big thing to see Alfred die. Now, before heading into the story a little more, this makes me like it's kind of fascinating, like the story itself, but it's kind of weird that like a year or two later, Tom King kind of does like the exact same thing. Like guys, don't you think it's kind of weird? In this story, you see Bane, he's leading all these different people, like there's no Thomas Wayne here, but Bane's leading all these people, breaks Alfred's back, kills him, and then we see Batman just mourning over it. Now, in Tom King's run, we saw Bane leading a bunch of villains, same thing here, didn't break his back, but snapped his neck. I think that's worse. And yeah, Thomas Wayne's not here, that's the only like difference, but still, it shows this is fine because it's pretty much like a dark multiverse. It's not the main DC continuity. Well, it's DC continuity, but it's in another world, it's Elseworld, where in our Earth, seeing Alfred actually die in Tom King's Batman, it's kind of dumb. It doesn't make a lot of sense, because like this is an Elseworld storyline, that's fine, but doing an actual like the DC universe, why? Like, Alfred's always that father figure, and if anything happened to him, Batman would pretty much descend into madness. So it's good for a story about a murder machine, like an evil Batman, but for our actual Batman in the DC universe to do that to him doesn't make sense. But guys, what we see next is we see Batman, he's talking to the Justice League. They're at like the Waking, which is pretty much all like Alfred, he's dead, but he's in like a casket. And Batman's talking to all of them, and Superman's like, Alfred's a good guy, you deserve better. I hope he's fine. Like, maybe he's somewhere good, and Batman's like, thanks, Clark, like, that's not really helping me that much, but I appreciate your support. But then, he talks to Victor Stone, who's Cyborg. He's like, way back, I created a protocol with you that if Alfred died, he could come like an AI and still be with me. And he tells Cyborg, can you help me put that back online? And Cyborg's like, yeah, sure, we can do that. We ship back to the fight between Cyborg and the Murder Machine on pretty much the Watchtower. And we see the Murder Machine pretty much like, you pretty much helped me, Cyborg. You created these AIs, and that's what created me. Because this whole origin story is these AIs came back, right, as Alfred. And they took over Bruce, and they became a Murder Machine. He uses these to kill people. So, pretty much Murder Machine is like, Cyborg, if you didn't create that protocol, I would not be like this. If I'm happy I'm like this. And Cyborg's like, why are you doing this? And then you see on the comms, which is pretty much, it's Silas Stone. He's like, what's happening, Victor? What's happening? Tell me something. And Cyborg can't speak. He's getting beat the crap out by the Murder Machine. And then as the Murder Machine, he then says to Cyborg, I'm going to go after Silas Stone. I'm going to go after your father. And he's going to come into our plans. Pretty much saying he's going to kill him in a way. And Cyborg then punches him across the face. And he's like, no, that's not going to happen. And the Murder Machine's kind of laughing about this. He's like, you think you hurt me? And Cyborg's like, I'm not going to let you kill my father. I know you're trying to pose as Batman, but you're not Batman at all. And then they do like a big blast fight, guys. He's blasted the Murder Machine. The Murder Machine is pretty much like holding off. And it's a cool like standout. Like it's a standout image. I really like it. But then what we see next is the Murder Machine then plugs into the whole Watchtower, and these AI Alfreds come out, and they're like, how can I help you? And they start going after Cyborg, and Cyborg's like, what the hell? And guys, we then ship back to Earth 44 in the Dark Multiverse, pretty much the origin of the Murder Machine, and we see these AIs. Like I said, these AIs are kind of evil. They're pretty much, their whole goal is to keep Bruce safe. So they're gonna kill anyone, kill any enemies of Batman. And that starts out with Bane. Now guys, well, it actually ends with Bane. If the AI Alfred actually killed everyone in Arkham Asylum, killed Harley Quinn, all these different villains. The last target was Bane. And you see Bane's like, I'm done, I'm not going to kill Batman, I'm not going after him, I'm just going back to Santa Prisca, leave me alone. And you see Alfred just blast him and kill Bane. Right there, guys. He kills Bane. That's crazy. I think that's crazy. Kills Bane, and then Cyborg comes back, we see him going to the Batcave. He's like, Bruce, what is going on? These AI Batmen have killed pretty much different villains. All your villains is coming very much like crazy. This is pretty much to help you cope with Alfred's death so you can eat dinner, so you can come back to being the normal Bruce Wayne I know. And Bruce is like, I know, he's doing some bad stuff, but I can talk to this AI Alfred. I can talk to him and change him back to good. And Cyborg's like, no you can't, this is a robot. This robot doesn't know anything about compassion, it doesn't have a soul. That's the difference, guys. the real Alfred has soul. He knew what's right and wrong. This robot Alfred, all these AIs, don't at all. So what we see next is Cyborg's like, we have to destroy this thing. We have to destroy the AI, the Alfreds. And Batman's like, no, I can't lose him again. Batman's kind of like, no, even if Alfred does bad stuff, I can't lose him again. Cyborg's like, okay, you do what you have to, but don't let the Alfreds in. So pretty much right now, these evil Alfreds, these AIs, are outside the Batcave, and if Batman just rings a bell, they'll come in. And Cyborg's like, don't do that. I'll get the Justice League, and then we can plan this out and deal with it. But obviously, we then shift back to the Murder Machine and Cyborg fight, and the Murder Machine tells Cyborg, I let the AI Alfreds in, the AI Alfreds in, and these AI Alfreds pretty much took over him, plugged into his system, and he became the Murder Machine. And he pretty much became evil. Now he has these AI Batmans, and he's like, Alfred can always be with me forever. He's never gonna leave. So pretty much this Batman is like a psychopath. He's a psychopath. And we see Cyborg blasting him. He's blasting the evil Batman back and forth. He's like, I won't let you take over Detroit. I won't let you do bad stuff. And the Murder Machine's like, you still don't get it, Victor. You fought till the end. You have the powers. You have potential to be the best Justice League member. You'd be very powerful. But the fact that you hold back, the fact that you don't kill, can pretty much release you to be the weakest member of the Justice League. He's pretty much like taunting Cyborg. And Cyborg's like, no. Cyborg's getting kind of anxious. He's like, no, you can't do this. And then Murder Machine reveals to Cyborg, hey, you might think that you have like the power to fight me off, because Cyborg tells him, hey, I'm taking over the Watchtower, and you're pretty much stuck in my trap. But the Murder Machine's like, no, I took it over, and now he actually takes over all like the systems, all like the AI, everything, and actually gets to Detroit. He gets to the Star Labs, gets Silas Stone, and is supposedly like killing him. And he's going throughout Detroit, killing different people like these robots. And Cyborg just shouts, no! He's just blasting. He's like, what's going on? I can't stop. He's like, I won't let you do this. And the Murder Machine's like, ha, you're the same Cyborg that I killed in my universe. And turns out, in his universe, the Cyborg in like that Earth teamed up with Justice League to fight out the Murder Machine, but the Murder Machine killed off everyone until Cyborg was the last one left. And guys, what we see is Cyborg is blasting him. Cyborg's like, the only reason I'm not dead right now is because you still have compassion, Bruce. Get out of this, stop Alfred. And pretty much Bruce tells him, or the Murder Machine tells him, that no, I feel happy and you can't stop that. And that's what Murder Machine does. He grabs Cyborg by the head and pretty much decapitates him, kills Cyborg, and then Murder Machine's like, I did it. I saved the world. I'm with Alfred, but then obviously, like the other evil Batman tie-ins, his world starts crumbling apart. As every dark multiverse Earth does, it starts getting destroyed. And Murder Machine's like, what's going on? Where do I go? And that's when the Batman Last shows up. He pretty much gives him the proposition that, hey, I can save you, and then you can still be with Alfred, but I need you to go destroy this other Earth. And the Murder Machine is like, count me in. And he joins the ranks of Red Death and the Batman Last and Barbados. Now, when we see next, we go back, so that pretty much wraps up his origin story, but we go to Murder Machine via Cyborg. He's fighting him off, and Cyborg actually goes against the Murder Machine's pretty much forcefully. He's like, booyah! And if you know Cyborg, if you're a fan of Cyborg, you know that's his best catchphrase. Always back to the Teen Titans animated series, him just saying, booyah! That's just like the best thing. And you see him get through, and it's like, I'm gonna beat you, and Cyborg's actually about to win, but that's when the evil Batman show up, and you see the Devastator grab him, all the evil Batman are around him, and they're just about to beat the crap out of him. Murder Machine is like, I'm gonna let Silas Stone hear this. And Silas is at Detroit, he's surrounded by AI Alfreds, and he's pretty much hearing his son get beat the crap out, maybe killed. He doesn't know what's going on, and you see him pretty much just yelling, Victor, say something, tell me you're alright. But you see a Devastator punching Cyborg, you see the Drowning beating the crap out of him, you see the Merciless cutting him with his sword, you see the Murder Machine blasting him, you see Cyborg just being beat the crap out of him, like he's just down and he's pretty much torn to pieces. And you see the Batman Last come by, and he's like, did you absolutely think that you're gonna get out of this? You can beat all of us? We're evil Batman, you can't stop us. And he then says, at the last thing, he's like, we're pretty much the Dark Multiverse. We've been waiting for all this time to come to your Earth and take over. All we needed was a ringing. And this goes back to the thing that all the AI Batman needed to get through to Bruce was a ringing to let them in. And pretty much like Batman did by doing all those nith mail, by investigating it, he let the Dark Multiverse in. So it's kind of like a It's a comparison, you know? It's a comparison that what Batman did, our Batman, what he did by investigating, letting the Dark Multiverse in, it was bad. He did the same thing that the Mer Machine did by letting the AI Alfred in, just different circumstances. And it ends with the Watchtowers taken over by the Mer Machine, and Cyborg is just pretty much done. He's done. He's not dead, but he's torn to pieces. And that leads us to the next one, Batman Dawnbreaker. So yeah guys, that's the explained part of this video done. So let's get to my review of Batman the Murder Machine, number 1. Guys, this issue is pretty good. It's really fascinating with the whole Batman and pretty much Alfred dying. And I like comparing it to Tom King's run, because Tom King killed Alfred, and this is the same thing that happens here. Difference is, Elseworld, DC continuity. So that's the thing. So looking back at this at the time, I was like, okay, it's a nice story. Well, not a nice story. It's a really fascinating story that has Batman pretty much to say a madness about Alfred, and then pretty much beating the crap out of Cyborg, killing all the Justice League. Like, okay, it's another origin of the evil Batman. But now that I look back at it, it's really interesting with what's been going on in Tom King's Batman back then at the end of his run. It's really interesting. Like guys, I like to know in the comment section below, what do you think about that comparison? What do you think about Tom King's run, the end of it with Alfred dying compared to this issue itself? Pretty cool, I think. But guys, overall, this issue, the art was really good. It looked really cool. I like mentioning like Silas Stone, having him involved. Cyborg, he's one of my favorite characters, and especially that scene when he's just like booyah and he punches through. That was great. But the one problem with this that kind of holds it down a little bit was it was kind of overwritten. Like guys, it's written by Frank Tier and James Tynion IV. And guys, James Tynion, if you know him, he can have some great work sometimes, or sometimes his work is kind of not so good because he overwrites. And that happens in this issue. Like I swear, when I was rereading this, I was like, man, there's a lot of dialogue. Like, no one would be fighting and they have this much dialogue, like actually. But yeah, it makes it a little slog to get through. Like, the story itself is really good, but the writing not really up to par compared to like Scott Snyder. But guys, still solid issue. I recommend it, and that's why I'm gonna give it an 8.3 out of 10. I recommend it. You should go check it out, mostly for the art and to pretty much see Batman the Murder Machine's origin story. It's really good. Guys, first off, I'm gonna explain, to start off the explanation, let's talk about this dope cover right here. Like guys, all these evil Batman covers look really cool. Like, it'd be cool to just have posters with this, because they're drawn so well and they shine. And guys, you see the Dawnbreaker, and he just has the ring, he's all mad and stuff, and behind him is all these like nightmare, like I think it's like nightmares, like hands and stuff, and it looks like evil constructs of a Green Lantern ring, so it looks really cool. But guys, when we see opening up, it's like, oh, this is another origin of the evil Batman, and it's Earth 32 in Gotham City. Now this goes back to Crime Valley, where Batman, pretty much his parents, Bruce, as a child, saw his parents die by Joe Chill. So Joe Chill shoots Bruce's parents, and Joe Chill's like, don't worry about it, kid, I'm going to take this stuff and run. Just stay there and don't interfere, I'll shoot you too. And Bruce, instead of being fearful, he's very like afraid, or he's like sad and crying, he just stands there. And he has no emotion, like a psychopath. But he has no emotion, and he's just like, I just felt a void, and I had no fear. And since he was not afraid, that's when the Green Lantern ring came. Because honestly, all you need to have to pretty much get a Green Lantern ring is no fear. So if you're not afraid of nothing, if you're just very brave and stuff, you'll get the Green Lantern ring. And that's what happens here. He gets the ring, he grabs it, and he's like, he pretty much tells him you have the ability to overcome great fear. And Bruce takes this ring, and first off, the first thing he does, he goes after Joe Chill, and he's like, I'm gonna kill you. And Joe Chill's like, what the heck? What happened? He's like, I was just dealing with the two barons, killed them, took some money, I'm good. But now this is freaking kid who has the powers of Green Lantern, so he's afraid. And pretty much Bruce is like, Green Lantern ring, kill him. And the Green Lantern ring is like, no, we don't do that. One of the laws of being a Green Lantern is to not kill. Don't like pretty much put a lot of force on somebody you're going after. And it all depends on willpower. Now, the willpower is at 100%, so he's able to use it, but what happens here is Bruce exceeds the willpower. It goes up to like 181%, and what we see is his willpower actually takes over the ring, and it becomes evil. It builds like evil constructs, and kills Joe Chill. Guys, you see Joe Chill just get disintegrated, and pretty much Bruce is like, yes, I did, I killed him. And he's kind of like a psychopath and happy about it, but we see him, like, it's a pretty big deal that he took over the Green Lantern ring, because we never saw this in the Green Lantern mythos. We never seen like a Green Lantern take over that ring and go against it. Like when the Green Lantern is going back, like saying nope, it won't work, it usually like shuts down or it just stops there and they don't have like enough willpower. But since this Bruce has so much willpower, it turned the Green Lantern ring evil. So what we see next is Bruce is like, okay, I gotta do something else now. He goes to save his parents. He's like, Green Lantern ring, resurrect them. And it tries, but Bruce's parents are not the same. They're pretty much like ghosts, they're like zombies. And Bruce lets them die, and he's pretty much mad. He's like, I felt a void. Pretty much my parents were dead. I killed the killer, but I still was not happy. So what we see next is Bruce is like narrating this, the Dawnbreaker. He's like, they call me a hero in Gotham City. So he worked with Bullock first, killed Bullock because Bullock would go against him. Then he worked with Commissioner Gordon, and Commissioner Gordon's like, hey, you're late again. In kind of like a joke fashion, but Bruce is like, don't talk to me that way. You know what happened to the other cop. Pretty much he killed Bullock. He's like, I'll do the same to you. And Commissioner Gordon's like, hey, there's been some villains going missing. Some people think they're dead. Do you know anything about that? Like, Commissioner Gordon's actually kind of like suspicious of Bruce. And you see Bruce just going around killing these villains without no remorse at all. You see him pretty much fly Scarecrow to the sky, kill him, and then you see him show up to like Penguin's lair, and you see like Commissioner Gordon talking this over. He's like, on Tuesday night, Penguin went missing. What happened to him? And Green Lantern's like, okay, don't worry about it. I'm doing my thing. I'm doing justice. The Commissioner Gordon's like, this is not justice. And we see pretty much the same play out, that Bruce, as the Green Lantern, shows up at Penguin's like iceberg lounge, and you see all his men, and Penguin's like, get out of here, he's gonna kill us. Penguin's actually afraid, and you see him, he's talking, and then pretty much Green Lantern pretty much does a blackout. Like Bruce does a blackout, it turns totally black. All the henchmen and goons of Penguin get killed. Like Green Lantern just kills them all. You have this screeching sound. Pretty much all these dark constructs just eat them alive, kill them. And then you see Green Lantern grab Penguin, and Penguin's like, please don't kill me. And then Green Lantern flies him up to the sky. It's like, you're not going to do bad stuff in my city. You're not going to kill people. And he flies him up and throws him into an asteroid field. And you see Penguin get disintegrated. Like, guys, look at that image. That's shit. Like, look at that. Damn. Like, you see Penguin just get disintegrated. It's like, it's a very gruesome scene. But you see Green Lantern, he goes back, and Commissioner Gordon's like, you killed him. This is not justice. You can't do this. And Bruce is like, shut up, Gordon. You have a daughter, right? And he's like, sad. She's gonna live without a father. And that's when Bruce kills Gordon, disintegrates him. Like, right there, disintegrates him, and then you hear in the sky, enough. And you see the Green Lantern Corps show up. And they tell him, you've been doing bad stuff, you're not a real Green Lantern, we can take you down. Pretty much what he's done is turn this Green Lantern ring evil, and it's spread across the Green Lantern Corps. So it's pretty much like, this whole light, this good Green Lantern Corps is starting to turn evil because of what Bruce has done. So he's spreading the darkness. And pretty much the Guardians of the Universe, Kilowog, all these Green Lanterns are like, we have to stop you. And we see them get surrounded by these evil constructs. And Kilowog's like, he's just like an arrogant boy, I can take him down. And Bruce is like, go for it. And you have all these constructs, they're like evil ones, and they just start eating these Green Lanterns alive, killing them. And you see pretty much the last one, it's a Guardians of the Universe, one of them. And he's like, please, you have to stop this. You can't have the darkness take over. You can destroy this whole world. And pretty much Bruce creates like this construct and grabs the Guardian of the Universe and tears his head off. And you see Bruce, he's like, I killed all the Green Lantern Corps, I saved the day, but I still feel that void. He's like, I can't be Bruce anymore. I have to change. And that's when he goes into the Green Lantern, like, it's like a lamp thing. It's like a big lamp that's the Green Lantern Corps are known for. And he comes out as Batman the Dawnbreaker. Now, he pretty much says, with darkness black, I choke the light. No brightest day escapes my sight. I turn the dawn to midnight. Beware my power. Dawnbreaker's light. Now that's pretty cool. It's pretty much turn on the whole like speech that Green Lanterns usually give. It's an evil turn, but you see this dope pretty much splash page of the Dawnbreaker, and he looks pretty cool, guys. He looks really cool. Before we go on, let me just like tell you guys the significance of how like the Dawnbreaker killed all the Guardians of the Universe. They're some of the most powerful beings in the entire multiverse, and for him to kill them, it makes him super OP. But guys, we go on, and we see pretty much Bruce like, what's going on? His whole world is getting destroyed, like the Guardians of the Universe said, and he's just left in a void. Everybody's dead, and he doesn't know what to do. And that's when the Battle Blast shows up, and he's like, you pretty much destroyed your world. So, you can decide. You can join me, and pretty much join Barbados and destroy this other world with me with Red Death, the Merman Machine, or you can stay here in the void and just die. And Dawnbreaker obviously chooses Batman last aside. He's like, count me in. And that's when he shows up to Earth Zero, our Earth, and shows up to Coast City. And he shows up, he starts like pretty much blacking out the whole city. It goes from like light to pretty much darkness. And Green Lantern shows up, he's like, no, you're not doing anything. You're not showing up to my city and killing all these people. And Green Lantern's like, Batman, is that you? Because that, guys, you remember this is between issue number 1 and issue number 2, this particular issue. And pretty much he's thinking that this is actually Batman when he escaped Black Hawk Island, but it's not. He's from the Dark Multiverse. Now, we see Dawnbreaker, he's like, I warned you, don't stop me, don't go against me, I killed a Green Lantern like you before. And you see him just release all these constructs, these evil constructs on Green Lantern, and Green Lantern's ring is like, impossible. We don't recognize these evil constructs because it's from a different multiverse. So Green Lantern's like, don't say impossible. Green Lantern's about to die and get killed by these constructs, and that's when Dr. Fate shows up, saves him, whisks him away, and Green Lantern is pretty much saved. He watches Coast City just get killed, like watches get destroyed once again. Now we see him get whisked away, and we see the Dawnbreaker just pretty much releases all this evil construct energy across, killing all these people, and all of Coast City goes to the dark. Like the last words he says is, he's like, I wanted this world of light to pretty much a city of hope. Disgusting. He's like, let them feel helpless. Let all these people feel helpless. Let them feel pretty much the void that I felt, and let them pretty much feel like I did. Pretty much he's a psychopath, and he's always felt a void. He's never been like in comfort. He's never been like had closure on his parents' death. So he just keeps killing people, hoping to find closure, and he's hoping this finds closure, but obviously it doesn't. And that's how the issue ends. Pretty much all Coast City is in darkness. Green Lantern is away with Dr. Fate and Flash. They pretty much got away. And Dawnbreaker is pretty much taking over all Coast City and killing people. So yeah, guys, that was a pretty fascinating issue. Again, Ethan Van Sciver's art is amazing. Like, I'll get to that when I get to my review. But yeah, guys, that wraps up the explain part of this video. Let's get to my review of Batman the Dawnbreaker, #1. Now, guys, this issue is very interesting, alright? Very interesting. I really like how, like, Batman the Dawnbreaker, his look, like, his actual design's really cool. Ethan Van Sciver's art is just so good. Like, seeing that one splash image of him just, like, taking over Coast City and going to darkness was dope. And then also, when he killed all the Green Lanterns, killed Commissioner Gordon. Like, honestly, the scene when he killed Commissioner Gordon, he's like, hey, you have a daughter, right? Sad. She's gonna live without a father. He just disintegrates him. That honestly hit me, because it's just like, for some reason, how Ethan Van Sciver drew it and how the panels laid out is like, oof, damn, he just killed him. Like, you really felt that. It went from, oh, he's just killing people, whatever, so, oh man, he just killed him, and he knew Commissioner Gordon had a daughter. Like, he knows that he's just affected so many lives by killing Commissioner Gordon. But yeah, seeing this, like, Bruce have, like, this void and be like a psychopath and get the Green Lantern ring, use his willpower to take it over and make it to darkness was really interesting. And I like this evil Batman. Now, it's not my favorite. Like, I like Batman Who Laughs #1, Red Death, Devastator, and I'd probably put him at #4 because the Batman the Dawnbreaker, he's really interesting, but he's kind of the same like the other evil Batman. Like, he's just, okay, he pretty much came evil, took over like one of like the Justice League's powers, the Green Lantern. It's a Green Lantern Batman hybrid. It's a rise of Dark Knight. Oh, he takes over Coast City, fights out Green Lantern gets away. It's kind of like the typical thing that these like evil Batman stories been doing, but it's still really fascinating. I like it. And that's why I'm overall going to give this issue an 8.5 out of 10. It's pretty solid. I recommend it. You should definitely check it out. Mostly for Ethan Van Sciver's art. Sam Humphries, or just Sam, his writing's good, but it's not like super great. Like, it's just solid. It works for the story. So guys, first off, we got this dope cover right here. And guys, this cover shows like, her name is Bryce Wayne, and she's the Batman the Drowned, and she's all going up to the surface. She's like fully weaponized, and below her is like these hands, like dark hands reaching up to her, which is actually like the bottom of the sea. It's actually pretty creepy, but very fascinating cover. But guys, it's drawn very well and actually shines too. But as we continue, the whole story starts out, and you see pretty much her hands, and she's trying to get to the surface. And she talks about this love interest that she had, Sylvester. Now, guys, Sylvester, it was pretty much her love interest that died. He was killed by criminals and meta-humans on her Earth. And you see her going to the surface, but this isn't the Dark Multiverse, guys. The book actually opens up with her in our world. So the world where Batman is, where Superman is, where Wonder Woman is, and it starts out here. She's at Amnesty Bay, and guys, that place is pretty much where Aquaman was for like his childhood. Because as you remember, Aquaman, Arthur Curry, was with his dad because his mom pretty much was down in Atlantis, and eventually he claimed the throne in the whole Throne of Atlantis arc, fighting off pretty much Ocean Master. It's actually a pretty cool storyline. But you see her, and she's there at Amnesty Bay, and she's smiling. She wants to drown the whole place. And you see her pretty much unleash these things called dead wires. Now, these pretty much like creatures, kind of like the Trench. If you know who the Trench are, they're pretty much like these like scary creatures in Atlantis, but these ones are controlled by her. So she controls this dead water. Now, she releases it, kills all these mariners, all these people at sea, and you see her just destroying everything. She's walking through the ocean, and she's taking it over, and it's like, it's time that I drown this place, drown this world. She's trying to carry out the plans of Barbados. Now, guys, one other thing, I've heard people saying Barbados is pronounced Barbados, but I'm not pronouncing it like that, because Barbados, I feel like sounds cool. Like Barbados, maybe, but I feel like Barbados is better. We see her walking through, and then all of a sudden, that's where Aquaman and Mera show up, and Aquaman's like, I don't know what the hell you are, but this stops now. And that's exactly what he says, guys. He comes through on the creature, and he's actually going after her. Mera's at his side, and they're going to attack her because, like, Batman the Drowned, or Bryce, we'll just call her Bryce, she's pretty much going on Atlantis and trying to destroy it in a way, so that's not good for them. But this whole storyline is called In Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, which guys actually does. It's actually like an old folktale, which that's a cool reference. And you have the artists, which is Philip Tan and Tyler Kirkman. And guys, they're not like all-star level artists, like it's not George Chemez or Francis Manfall, but they still have pretty solid art. And you have the writer, which is Dan Abnett. And guys, his writing, like, I'm not a big fan of it because sometimes his writing can be like top level, but then sometimes his writing can be really bad. Like, I've read some of the stories and they're just really generic. But we continue, and we see pretty much Bryce go against Aquaman. Aquaman goes to attack her, and Bryce pretty much kills these creatures, slashes them, uses her dead water, takes over them, and Aquaman gets beat the crap out. Now, guys, this is big, because Aquaman, he's actually pretty powerful. I know a lot of people say, oh, he's the guy who talks to fish. He's not that powerful. No, he's actually, like, standing toe-to-toe with Superman. Like, guys, in that first Rebirth storyline, when they fought, that was a big deal. That showed how powerful Aquaman was, and to see Bryce is kind of like just dismantle him and beat the crap out of him is like huge. But then we see Mera, she's like, I'll use my telekinesis for water telekinesis, but it doesn't work. Bryce actually has better control of the water than Mera, and this isn't even her own Earth, so it's a big deal. But you see pretty much Mera, she's trying to do it, she's like, the water won't obey me, she's getting beat the crap out, and then Aquaman's like, no, stop, and he goes to attack Bryce again, but then we shift to her origin story. So we kind of get cut off mid-fight, and we go to Earth 11 in the Dark Multiverse. Now we see that pretty much Bryce, her origin story, her love interest, Sylvester, he died with the meta-humans and the criminals, and she's fighting crime, she's ridding the world of all the bad darkness, all like the bad people, and she was doing a good job until the Atlanteans came along, and it was actually Aquawoman. When you see Aquawoman, she has all these creatures, and she has like a whole army, and Bryce is like, I was already concerned, like I planned out for this. Pretty much this is like Batman, but just a woman, that's all it is. But you see her playing for everything, and she's like, I plan to just kill them and destroy them, but I was going to give them a chance. But that didn't work out. Pretty much, the Atlanteans tried to use diplomacy to their factor, like trying to talk to Bryce, talk to like the U.S., everyone, but then they pretty much betrayed them and tried attacking and taking over. Like, these Atlanteans are not that good. So then Bryce is like, I'm gonna go destroy them. So what Bryce did was she actually modified herself, went with Brainiac, used Brainiac stuff, modified herself to become like an Atlantean, and actually created the Dead Water. Now, Dead Water is pretty much like all these different creatures that she can control. It helps her control the water, and it makes her faster when she goes against Atlanteans. Because she's pretty much like waging a war against Atlantis. And you can't just be a human, you can't breathe underwater and suspect yourself to, oh, I'm going to beat all these Atlanteans. That doesn't work. But what she does is smart, because she makes herself like an Atlantean, she makes herself faster, and makes herself her own army. So she comes in pretty strong here. And we see her show up, she fights off against Aquaman, she's beating all these Atlanteans, killing them, and what she's doing with these Atlanteans is she's adding them to her army. Because the Dead Water, if it takes over you and kills you, then you come a part of the Dead Water, so it's more creatures to her side. but she goes toe-to-toe with the Aquawoman, and they're fighting. The Aquawoman's kind of getting like hit a lot, and she thinks she's gonna win, but then Bryce pretty much stabs right through her heart, kills the Aquawoman right there, and it's a big splash page. Like, look at that, guys. That's crazy. But you see her, it's pretty wild, and you see the Aquawoman die, and Bryce is like, that was the day that I knew I had to keep protecting, and she pretty much drowned the whole Earth. Earth 11 in the Dark Multiverse, she drowned the whole place. Took it over, and she had her dead water. She pretty much like teamed up with Brainiac for a little, like not teamed up, but like used Brainiac's like technology to create herself like an Atlantean. Now you see her. She's pretty much the bottom of Atlantis. You have these dead wives. They're all army with her. She's at the top. She's just sitting there. She's feeling it. She's like, okay, I did it. And she creates a sign that's pretty much like a bat signal underwater. So imagine like a bat signal underwater shooting to the sky. So if there's any other people out there who want to like join her or join the dead water, they can. And then also if they come to fight her, she'll kill them and add her to her army. So she doesn't care about anybody. She like kind of wants to be alone. She wants to be left alone. And then we see that one day this like bat signal gets turned off, and that's when the Batman Who Laughs shows up. Now guys, this scene's pretty cool, because you see the Batman Who Laughs, he shows up, he's like, you just want to be alone, right? But there's a whole another Earth that you could drown yourself. Like, you're always thinking about going up to the light. Like, her whole philosophy is that pretty much the light at the top and pretty much above the water has taken everything from them. And everything at the bottom is pretty much the drowned. Everything that's drowned, and they're pretty much just dying, it's not going well. And Bryce is like, I want to seize the light and drown it so we're all equal. That's what Bryce is trying to do. But we see Bryce, she talks about in the last Batman Laughs, like, you want to be alone, I can get that, but there's a whole other world, we could go destroy it, so are you in? That's pretty much what he says. He's like, do you want to go destroy the light once and for all? And Bryce does that, and right before they leave, Batman Laughs shows like a big portal thing, shows all the evil Dark Knights, the dope image right there, and Bryce is convinced. She's like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna destroy the light and go at MFC Bay, destroy all the Atlanteans, and work for Barbados. Now, and pretty much this is in hopes that she'll get her Earth back, but it'll be on her terms. So pretty much Barbados promised her that if all this stuff went through, she'll get her own Earth back. Nobody will be dead, there won't be dead water, but they'll all be under her. So it's pretty much all the rules by her. So that's pretty good for her. But we see her, and she's talking to the Batman Who Laughs, and they go through the light. He makes it to the DC Universe. Well, Batman Who Laughs already makes it to DC Universe, but Bryce makes it to the DC Universe, and that's when we go back to that fight. And we see him fight. She releases her dead water. And we see Aquaman getting dismantled again. We see Mara get grabbed by Bryce. Like, she grabs right out. Like, let's do it again. Grabs her right by the neck and pulls her. And Aquaman's like, get out of here, Mara. Go get the Justice League. I'll be fine here. But then he sees Mara pretty much getting turned to a dead water. She's getting pretty much infected. And we see Mara, she turns to a dead water. She's pretty much like a zombie. Like, that's a zombie. But we see Mara, she goes after Aquaman. Aquaman's like, no, he just saw the love of his life. Pretty much compares like Bryce and her love of her life in a way die. And Aquaman's like, he's traumatized in a way. He's like, no, this can't be. But then as he's about to be dead and like pretty much consumed by the dead water, he's transported away by Dr. Fate. Now guys, Dr. Fate's a cool character. And he only shows up when like the fate allows him. So his whole like story is that if fate is going down the wrong direction, he has to show up and interfere. Now if fate is going down the right direction and bad stuff's happening, he can't interfere. When we see Dr. Fate, like the other evil Batman tie-ins, shows up, saves him, transports him away, and Bryce Wayne is like, dang, I was about to kill him. She's like, alright, you'll get to live another day, but you'll pretty much be traumatized with your wife, Mara, being turned into a dead water, a part of my army. Now, we see pretty much it ends with Bryce, and she's there, and she sees the bat signal, she establishes it, and that's it. She ends there just smiling at the place, which is pretty big, guys, a big deal. But guys, that's the explained part of this issue, done. So, pretty good issue, I liked it, but there's some flaws to that I'm going to explain in my review. But yeah guys, let's get to my review of Batman the Drowned. So guys, this issue was pretty interesting. The whole thing about Bryce Wayne, she was modified, she came like Atlantean, killed pretty much Aquawoman, stabbed her, and then coming like faster than them, working with like Brainiac technology, and then going against Aquaman and Mara. That was pretty cool. Now the art was solid. It's not the best art, like I don't love the art, but it's still pretty solid and like conveys the story very well. But in terms of story, I think this is my least favorite of all the Dark Knights, like the evil Batman tie-ins, which are probably like, really? Like, this is your least favorite? The next one would probably be the Merciless, but the thing that saves that is Francis Manpaul, because I think his art is better than the art in this issue. But here it's pretty simple. It goes by the same formula. Okay, she shows up to DC Universe, fights off against, like, the hero that it's kind of like the hybrid of Batman Aquaman, so she fights off against Aquaman. Then mid-fight, we see her origin. Then they finish the fight, and that's it. That's all it is. And it goes by the thing that, okay, she had the fight, she transformed herself, fought off against, like, an Aquawoman, which is like a woman version of Aquaman. Then she went with the Bound Lass, Serge Barbados. Like, that's all fine, but I don't think it's super interesting. Like, yeah, I do like the part about her becoming Atlantean and modify herself. That was cool, but I wish we got more, like, in-depth. Like, this issue was just like, this is just a halfway point. Like, I know, like, it's hard to read, like, 42-page or 38-page comics, like, those are longer, but I'd be down for it because it's better content compared to here, where it's kind of just simple. It's a little generic, and I kind of see that in Dan Abnett. Like I said that at the beginning of this video, like, some of his writing's amazing, but some of his writing's just kind of generic, and I don't remember it. But in terms of this story, it's one of those, but still pretty solid. Like, it's not bad. And it's not just okay, it's actually a good issue that I'm going to recommend. And that's why I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. I do recommend it. And if you like this version of the character, tell me in the comment section below. Do you love it? Do you love the character? And you kind of mad at me like, hey, you didn't like this character that much? Like, no, I do like the character. Like, I like the character. But in terms of the story, it wasn't the best compared to the other EO Batman. So guys, first off, we got this dope cover. You pretty much see all these Amazons dead. Wonder Woman's dead. She's pretty much underneath, like, this hill. The Merciless is on top of it, which is Bruce. And he has, like, a sword he's just holding up as, like, the lightning strikes. And guys, that lightning is striking hard. Like, that's coming down really cool. And I like how, like, just like how it looks. It's one of my favorite covers. Like Batman Last and Red Death, I would say their cover is on par with this too. It's just one of the best covers of all these evil Batman. And guys, dive in, we first see pretty much in Earth 12 in the Dark Multiverse, we see Batman holding Wonder Woman, she's dead, and on this Earth, they're actually in like a love relationship, which is really interesting, and you see him say it was supposed to be the final war, the last battle of good and evil. And we don't know who he's going against. We find out later that's Ares, which is one of Wonder Woman's like most famous villains, and what happened here was Wonder Woman died, and he's holding her, and Batman pretty much went to extreme measures to beat Ares. And we find out about that later in the story. These are the stories of the Dark Multiverse that should never be, and witness the rise of a Dark Knight. So that's what it said in all the other issues, but pretty much repeats that to keep the tone consistent. But guys, we continue, and we see on Earth, and pretty much in Langley, Virginia, at the HQ of Argus in the War Room. And guys, this room, it pretty much has 4 different leaders, or actually a couple more too, but leaders of 4 different like military operations. And these military operations are pretty much Argus, the DEO, Shade, which guys, Shade is pretty much like Frankenstein. The Shade, they went after like supernatural beings. The DEO, like they're actually in Supergirl TV series working with Supergirl, but they work with like different like Superman characters, even Superman himself. And then obviously Task Force X, which is Amanda Waller. And you see all these different people working together that they would never work together at all. Like, you would never see these characters team up unless it's like a crisis event. And Steve Trevor's there, he's a part of like another military. He's kind of on his own though. Yeah, he's kind of on his own. He's not a part of any of these corporations. And he says that we only come together when it's a crisis protocol. So we're all here meeting in this war room to pretty much discuss what we're going to do. Because all the heroes, Superman has vanished, Batman's vanished, all the heroes that protect us, Flash, Green Lantern, every single one of them has vanished, and their cities, Central City, Coast City, Gotham City has been attacked, and we don't know what happened. And even the Watchtower, the Justice League Watchtower has been attacked too. That was actually attacked by the Murder Machine, and Cyborg got attacked there in like one of the earlier evil Batman stories. Now, here we see he's saying that we have to find a way to fight this off, and he's like, what do you have, Amanda Waller? And Amanda Waller's like, I sent in the Suicide Squad into Gotham City, and they're pretty much, they haven't read back. I don't know what happened to them. There are chips in their head. Like, guys, you remember the Suicide Squad? They have like chips in their head that if they go against protocol, they pretty much die, like their head blows up. And guys, they went into Gotham City, and they pretty much have either been compromised or killed. Now, we find out what happened to them in Gotham Resistance later down the line, but for right now, we don't know what happened to them. And Amanda Waller is like, I'm pretty much left with nobody. I'm just on my own. We see General Samuel Lane, and guys, we see him, he's talking, he's like, this is a lose-lose situation, all the heroes are gone, we don't even have the Suicide Squad, so we're just left with the military. And he's like, I think we should just make a warhead and blow up this place. He's like, we're not gonna win. And he says that pretty much it's time that we just we can't like sugarcoat this. Evil versions of like from another universe has invaded and taken over, and we have nowhere to stop them unless like killing a bunch of people. And Millwall's like, I kind of agree with that. If we kill millions to save billions, I think it's better. And Steve Trevor's like, no, we can't do that. That's not right. We can't kill so many people. And we see in the back Bones, who is part of like the Shade Corporation. He's just like smoking. He's not doing anything. And like the leader of Shade, she's just watching. She's observing. So it's more like a talk between General Samuel Lane and Amanda Waller and Steve Trevor. Now we go on and we see all of them arguing. And we see Samuel Lane, General Samuel Lane, and he's saying that he has like a warhead that is made out of pretty much modern science tech, chemoparticles, and Kryptonian sunstones. So that's some strong stuff in the DC Universe combined to one thing, and he calls it Valhalla. So he has some people, part of his, like the military, pretty much up in space, holding this warhead, waiting to pretty much get the signal where to like blast it off at. And it's actually 3 different people up in space. Now he's talking, and Amanda Waller's pretty much like judging all these different leaders. She's like, Bones, what are you doing here? You're not doing nothing. The leader of Shade, what are you doing here? And Amanda Waller's like, I think we should go with like General Samuel Lane's idea to just blow up this place, take it over, and take down these evil entities. And Steve Trevor and this other girl who pretty much has like an afro type hair, but she's a part of like Steve Trevor's team, so he actually did come with somebody. He came with this girl, and she pretty much says, we can't do this. She's like, I'm sure Wonder Woman and the Justice League, they'll be back, they'll take this down. And Samuel Lane's like, no, they're not going to be back, they're gone. They're dead probably, and we're left with the pieces and the fallout, so we gotta deal with this. And he's pretty much yelling, and Steve Trevor's like, no, we can't just kill millions. That's bad. That's not the right thing to do. And Samuel Lane's like, I always knew, Steve Trevor, you would not be the one to pull the trigger. And he's pretty much cut off when like pretty much a red alarm goes off, and they pretty much all fall to the ground. They hear like a shockwave, and at the front of the war room, like outside of it in Argus, is pretty much compromised, and the Merciless comes through. And guys, he comes through strong. Like this image right here, you see all the Argus agents lined up and they're ready to shoot, but the Merciless just goes through the wall, and he's like, look at them trying to play war. They don't know what they're doing with. They're trying to discuss, but they can't discuss because pretty much they all have different opinions. They can't figure out how to play war like I do. And he's like, I was only 8 years old when my war began with a shot fired in Gotham City. Now guys, if you know, when you use 8, or I think it was 8, like it says 8 here, but it's been changed throughout like Batman's history, but when you use 8 in Crime Valley, he's walking with his parents got shot, and that's pretty much started his vow to pretty much avenge his parents and save everyone in Gotham City, and pretty much inflict justice as the Batman. Now, he says, it began with an oath to myself that what happened to me could never happen to anyone again. So pretty much what happened to him, his parents died, he wouldn't want that to happen to anybody else. So that's pretty much like Batman's code, but it's changed with the Merciless. And he pretty much says, an oath that I would wage my vow of justice with rules, with mercy, unlike my enemy. What a fool I was back then. So you're pretty much saying that I have rules, I wouldn't kill anybody, and that caused different people to die, and I regret that. I was a fool, but now I know what's right. I know how to kill people, I know how to do bad stuff to achieve success. Now we see him go through, and these different like Argus people are shooting at him, and you see pretty much the Merciless slam his freaking sword down, and you see these different people get burned by his sword, so his sword can actually burn people and cut them in half. And all these people are getting cut, they're like screaming. And he says, as he's about to kill him, he's like, I was kind of like restricted for a second. Like I thought about my rule not to kill. But then I remembered that's not the right thing to do. I was full back then, so I just went for it. I gave all of them clean deaths. Pretty much a valiant death that only my sword can give. And you see him kill all these Argus agents. All of them like burned by the face, cut in half. And it's pretty messed up, but that's the Merciless style. Now, you see him go through, and in the war room, you see General Samuel Lane pretty much release these, the warheads that he had, that he was talking about, pretty much release them and pretty much target them on Gotham City, and target them at the war room. So where they're at, and Steve Trevor tries to stop him, but he can't, and then he punches Samuel Lane, and it's like, do you know what you just did? You pretty much just signed a death sentence for this whole damn city. You're gonna kill us, you're gonna kill millions of lives. And Amanda Waller then points a gun at Steve Trevor as he's on top of General Samuel Lane. And Mayor Waller's like, step away, Trevor. The general is right. This is the best option. Millions dead to save billions. So they're doing some bad stuff, and all these people around are some bad people. And even General Samuel Lane, even though he usually has like the right intention, here he does it all. He's willing to kill a bunch of people, and Steve Trevor's like, no, we can't do that. And then we see the Merciless pretty much talk about Trevor. He's like, she loved a man before me. And that was Wonder Woman. She loved Trevor. And he says, an honorable man who died in the early days of the war. And we see a flashback back to Batman's, the Merciless's origin. And it says how it happened overnight. Ares has forged a new helmet that magnified his powers by 100-fold. So Ares pretty much made a new helmet that made him super powerful. And it took Batman, Wonder Woman, all the Justice League. All the Justice League is supposedly dead here. So it's just Batman, Wonder Woman. They made it to the front lines over 2 years. So they've been fighting for 2 years. Finally made to Ares, and Wonder Woman died. She got hit by Ares, fell to the ground, and Batman's holding her in his hands. He's like, Ares, you'll pay for what you've done. And Ares is like, enlighten me. The fields of fire are lit with dead. All have fallen. Who are you to challenge the god of war? That's what he says. He's pretty much just boasting. He's like, you can't fight. I killed Wonder Woman. You have nothing against me, Batman. And Batman's like, Diana has told me. Guys, remember, Diana and Batman are pretty much in a love relationship here. And Wonder Woman told him, never take the helmet of Ares and put it on you. And Batman does that. Which for some reason, I don't know why Ares doesn't have his helmet on here. It's just by Batman. They must have been by when they were fighting. It got hit off. Wonder Woman hit it off. And it was right by Batman. And Batman pretty much chose to put it on. But still, if I was Ares, you're winning, you have one guy left to destroy, and you have the greatest power, your helmet, right next to him. I would get that shit in a heartbeat. But guys, you see Batman, and he's talking about Diana, how she warned him that this pretty much helmet will corrupt you, will make you evil like Ares, and Batman's like, screw it, I have to do it. He killed Wonder Woman, my love, I have to destroy him. So he puts on that helmet, and he's like, then I became the god of war. And then they start pretty much going to fight. Now we switch to pretty much Earth-Zero and pretty much the Stratosphere, and we see these 3 different agents of General Samuel Lane, who I talked about earlier in this issue, and they have the warhead. They have the Valhalla warhead in their ship, and they're just waiting for the command, and they get the command to drop it on Gotham City or in Langley. It's pretty much to drop it in Langley, and these different people are like, we have to do it, and one of them is like, should we do this? This is a bad idea. And the other 2 are like, no, we have to do this. It's better to do this than kill pretty much villains. It's better to kill millions than kill a billion. That's pretty much the whole theme in this issue in a way. It's like the starting thing. So guys, we move on, and we see Amanda Waller. She punches Bones right in the face, knocks him out. She's like, you're not supposed to be here, you're supposed to be in prison, you're not a part of us, you don't have all the intelligence we do. And then we see all the fights. Steve Trevor's fight out General Samuel Lane. We see Amanda Waller fight out different people, the different people in Shade fighting off each other. And the Merciless just walks in, he's like, man, they're going against each other, I don't really have to do anything. And he puts his sword down in the cracks of the floor, and he starts quoting Diana. He's like, Diana, you would have wanted me to pretty much spare these people because you think that they can discuss war and plan out something better. But they're just crazy. They're killing each other, trying to beat each other up, and it's better to just kill them. And then he looks over his shoulder, he's like, I miss you, Diana. And then he goes in. Then you go back to his flashback origin story, and you see him talking. He's like, you would have said that I was corrupted by the helmet. You see him having the head of Ares in his hand. That's a graphic shot, but it's pretty cool. And you see him on top of the hill that is actually in the cover, guys, and you see fire behind him, and you see him talking, and you know who comes in front of him? The Batman who laughs. The same guy is going to all the Batman to pretty much recruit them. And he says that it's a losing war, Bruce. You've done everything you can to stop this war, but the cards are stacked against you. This whole Earth is going to get destroyed in a matter of minutes. Ares is gone, all these heroes are gone, you're pretty much left alone, and you want to build a new world out of it, but it's going to destroy it because it's the Dark Multiverse. And Batman Who Laughs explains this. Our Earths in the Dark Multiverse always are meant to get destroyed. And guys, this was actually expanded upon in the Red Death issue, but pretty much the Dark Multiverse, all its Earths are meant to die. They're not meant to live. The only Earths that are meant to live are in the positive multiverse, which is our Earth. And guys, you see the Merciless this is not true. This can't be true. You're lying. And Battle Lapse, like, your helmet is able to sense, like, the truth and sense, like, pretty much the hearts of men, and if they're speaking the truth or if they're lying. And Battle Lapse is like, sense me. I'm not lying. Don't you see? And the Merciless actually sees it. He's like, the Battle Lapse is not lying. He's like, I actually kind of recognized him because they're both the same character in a way. They're both Bruce Wayne, but just like different versions. And the Merciless is actually chilled by this. He's like, this guy gave me chills. Like, he's actually kind of scary. And the Battle Lapse is like, you pretty much fought this war, you won. But now it's time that you win an even bigger war. There's a big war in the cosmos that's going to require your strength, pretty much being the god of war, taking down war, winning it, and we're going to need you to win. And he says that it's time that you join me. Go to the possible multiverse and take over with Barbados. And you see them both leave, and the Merciless is like, I had no other choice. My Earth was being destroyed. I had no one else to go to, so I went with the Battle Lapse. Then we pretty much see like a recreation of the whole scene at the end of issue number 2 of Dark Knight's Metal, where you see like the evil Robins eating the Core of Owl members. You see all the evil Batman Barbados come through, and you see pretty much Barbados taking pretty much the energy out of Superman, Wonder Woman, and the Merciless is like, I couldn't look. I just looked at Barbados the entire time, so I couldn't look at Wonder Woman, my love. Pretty much is a Wonder Woman from a different universe, but he still has love for her. Pretty much seeing her just get drained of energy. Merciless is like, I knew it was wrong to hurt you, but I had to go through with this. In the long run would be a better option. Now guys, we shift to pretty much the Merciless going through after the invasion of the Dark Knights, and he makes it to this temple, which is like the temple of Prince Khufu, but it's actually like a trap that the Core of Owls planned, but he sees all this thing that the Core of Owls used Batman for. He's like, the Batman on this universe was used as a pawn. And you see all these different images of like 0 Year, which is a big storyline in Scott Snyder's Batman. You see him fighting off Joker, all these different metals he's exposed to. Because guys, as you remember, he was exposed to like Electrum, Dionysium, Promethium, Nithmel, and then Batmanium. All 5 metals. All 5 metals. And it's pretty crazy. And you see the Battle Lapse, like, he was just laughing, all the Batman Merciless, like, I felt like what I was doing was right. Then you see the 3 different agents, and one of those Cowgirl, that's her nickname, but they're inside this like ship, and it has the warhead Valhalla in it. They go above Langley and like, wow, this place is kind of destroyed. Whatever is in here, we have to destroy it with this warhead. Hopefully it works. And they drop the warhead, you see a big explosion, you think it won. As they come by, they see the Merciless, and he's on top of like a throne pretty much, and all the place is just like pretty much destroyed. You see like the Wonder Woman symbol behind him, and then you see all the different military leaders like General Samuel Lane, Amanda Waller, Bones, they're all kneeling to him, praying to him. And you see Merciless, like, now they see the truth. Their precious weapon, pretty much the warhead, pretty much caused him to get stronger. He pretty much used that warhead and absorbed it. So all that energy went to him. So it's pretty much like a trap in a way. And he says that I could kill all these different leaders, but that'd be merciful. And instead, I'm going to help them just stay alive and watch the whole world just end. And then you see him, you warned me of this power, Diana. And he says, I love you, Diana, but I am sorry. And pretty much what happened was, Wonder Woman actually didn't die. After he killed Ares, Wonder Woman woke up and was like, you can't do this, Bruce, you can't. And Bruce pretty much was already corrupt. He's like, sorry. And he just striked her down, killed Wonder Woman, his love pretty much. He's just like, screw it, kill her. And then after that, you see him talking to Steve Trevor. He's holding him up. Steve Trevor's the last one who is now like praying to him. Steve Trevor's not been like pretty much done. He's not done. He's still trying to fight back. He still has like motivation. And the Merciless is like, I was like you once. You pretty much, you had mercy, you had restraint, you couldn't do what was right, you couldn't do what would like save so many people. And he just holds Steve Trevor, but that's not the case anymore. And this world will fall to Barbados. And that's how it ends, guys. You see all them kneeling before him. Steve Trevor is holding in the air by Merciless. Everything's destroyed, and that ends his origin story and where he is at this point in Dark Knight's Metal. Now guys, the next one is Devastator, but as you know, I already did Devastator. You guys check it out in the eye top right corner right here. I like to explain that one too, but guys, this issue is pretty dope. I like it, especially Francis and Paul's art. But yeah guys, to explain part of this issue down, let's get to my review of Batman the Merciless. Number 1. Now guys, this issue is pretty dope. I really like Francis Paul's art. He's one of my favorite artists. Like, he just draws the story so well. And guys, the Merciless, his like look is just so cool. Like, just seeing us, the God of War and that whole armor with like the sword and just striking people, like just badass, guys. That's badass. And it's really cool. And then just seeing Bruce in love with Wonder Woman, that was really interesting. And the backstory, though it wasn't super complex, it's still really interesting. I liked it. But overall, the flaws I had with it was it kind of dragged after you saw him like enter the DC universe with Barbados. Like I get okay, didn't want to see Wonder Woman get drained of her powers, but I wish we saw more of like the battle between Ares and Batman the Merciless. So this was an interesting story, but I wish I got a little more out of it. But still, it's not my least favorite. My least favorite, as you guys know, is Batman the Drowned, but that story was still decent. But this one is pretty much on par with the Murder Machine and the other ones. It's not like the best one up there with like Red Death or Bound to Last, but still a great story that I do recommend, and that's why I'm gonna give it an 8.3 out of 10. I recommend it. Go check it out. Mostly for the art. Like Francis Mary Paul's art is amazing. But the story itself, too, is still pretty interesting. You can keep up with it. And guys, if you just want to see Batman turn into a god of war, it's perfect for that. So guys, this issue looks really cool, right? So first off, we got a dope cover, and this cover shows pretty much the Devastator. He's like a Doomsday version, and he's on top of a gargoyle. So that's just cool, because who ever thought of seeing Doomsday on top of a gargoyle like Batman is? And then we see like a burning scene in the background, so it sets the tone of the story. Now guys, this comic is drawn by Tony S. Daniel and written by pretty much Frank Tier, which Frank Tier has done great stuff in the past, and Tony S. Daniel has awesome art. Like he's done some great stuff on Batman, mostly Batman, and on other projects he's done, but his main stuff has been Batman. But here, it makes sense, technically this is a Batman comic, but it's also Doomsday and Superman too. But when we started out, the first page, it shows like Superman. It tells us it's set pretty much on the Dark Multiverse. So Superman is the battery, is being drained of his life force. And then we shift and we see freaking the Devastator fighting off Lobo. Guys, that's dope. Like, look at that. Like, we see pretty much Lobo pretty much yanking his chains, pretty much hitting the chain at the Devastator. The Devastator's just going full on, guys. Now, who would have ever thought we could see like Doomsday versus Lobo? Like technically this isn't Doomsday versus Lobo, but this is the closest we're gonna get. Like we've never seen a confrontation between these two characters. Like we never see in DC's history Doomsday versus Lobo. Never. And I've always wanted that because that's just so cool. Because Lobo is an awesome character. He beats up Superman, beats up all these characters. But why not he fight off pretty much the villain that killed Superman? Like that's just cool. But guys, we see him fight off, and the Devastator is pretty much narrating this whole story, and he tells his whole like task that Barbados gave to him was to pretty much go get the Cosmic Tuning Fork. Now guys, the Cosmic Tuning Fork is from Crisis on Infinite Earths. You can travel through worlds through it, like travel through different worlds in the multiverse, and Barbados needs it to sink the DC Universe into darkness even further. So the Devastator's plan is to just go through all these heroes, take them down, eventually get to the Cosmic Tuning Fork, and then give it to Barbados, and he's successful. But guys, what we see is this is in our DC universe, is not on the Dark Multiverse, but he's fighting off Lobo. He actually throws Lobo up to the sky. Like, he actually beats him up. He like throws him around like multiple times with the chain. It's actually pretty dope. Like you see he grabs the chain, just like throwing it back and forth, throws him into the sun. And then we shift to like the Daily Planet, and we see Lois talking to Jimmy Olsen. She's all happy. She's like, hey, we can't be afraid of all this stuff. We have to keep moving forward. And Jimmy Olsen's like, what are you talking about? Superman's gone. All these states, they're going through chaos, evil Batman, evil stuff all around, and we have nothing to deal with. Like, yeah, we can report about this stuff, but what if this stuff gets to the metropolis? And Lois is like, don't worry about the media, don't worry about the internet, just keeps moving forward. And Jimmy Olsen's like, okay, you're right. And we see Lois, she walks out, and she sees Bruce. She's like, okay, what's Bruce doing here? And Bruce walks up to her, and he says, hey, hi. And Lois is like, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be helping Superman, helping other people save the world from these evil Batman. And his hand slowly turns into Doomsday. And you see this awesome image of Lois just looking up, and you see Devastator just down looking at her. And he says, I made it so he can never hurt me again. And he's talking about Superman. We're like, what do you mean? What'd you do with Superman? Well, obviously he hasn't done anything to our Superman, because he's in the Dark Multiverse. But what did he do to Superman on his Earth in the Dark Multiverse? Now we see this, Lois is pretty much getting infected. Pretty much the Devastator tells him whatever he touches, it gets infected, and they turn into like a Doomsday version. It's Doomsday toxin. Now guys, what we see next is we actually see the flashback to his origin story. And this shows Batman, and what's pretty much happened here is Superman's gone crazy. That's pretty much the premise of it. Superman's gone crazy, and he's killed different heroes throughout the DC Universe. It's an alternate timeline in the Dark Multiverse, and he's killed Lex Luthor, Joker, pretty much everybody. Batman's one of the last men standing, and to pretty much recap what their relationship is, Batman and Superman have a great relationship in the DC Universe. Like Batman had his parents killed, and he finally found a friend that was a hero like him, Superman. Yeah, Superman's a little more hero, and Batman has different rules, but still, they built like a friendship that's like unbroken. Like it can't be broken. They always save each other. They keep it up. You know, they don't like agree with each other all the time. They still keep going together. And the only time they find DC continuity in like a real fight, like they're actually going against each other, not brainwashed or something else like that, was in Dark Knight's Returns by Frank Miller. And even then, Batman wasn't trying to kill him. He was just like, I have to defeat you. That's it. But here we see Batman actually has to kill him because Superman shows up. Batman has like a spear that's like a kryptonite. It has a kryptonite end. And we see Batman's hand get like blasted off. His whole arm is gone. And Batman's like hit to the ground. Superman shows up and Superman's like, it's over. So pretty much you see this whole city. It's not destroyed in the background, but there's no one there. Like Superman's pretty much in a way like killed different people, and Batman's like, no, it can't end this way. And Superman's like, you only beat me by kryptonite, so with this kryptonite gone, you can't do nothing. And that's been like a big argument through like DC Comics. Like, yeah, Batman could beat Superman through kryptonite, but if he doesn't have that, Superman can throw him into the sun, choke him to death, throw him to the ground, beat the crap out in one punch. He can do a lot of things to kill Batman. So with this kryptonite gone, Batman pretty much goes to another way to defeat Superman. And he clicks his button on his belt, guys, and he turns into the Devastator. And you see him like slowly turns into a huge Doomsday and hits Superman right by the head. Superman goes flying, and Devastator is pretty much telling us the story, which is Bruce. And we see in the next page, Devastator throws Superman's head to the ground, and then he breathes on Superman. You know what he breathes on? Kryptonite. Guys, he's not only beating the crap out of Superman like Doomsday, he also has kryptonite breath. Like, that's bad. Superman's already getting beat the crap out, but now he's weaker. So you see that, and Superman's like dying of kryptonite, and then he gets stabbed right through the back of the chest, right to the heart, like damn. And then we see Superman's just dead. He's just laying there, guys. Like, this impacted me. Like, this is like not as much as other people. Like, it impacts you. Like, holy crap! Like, Batman actually just did that. Like, Batman never kills this much. Like, you think about it, you're like, okay, even if we got to this part in time, like, Superman's last one is evil, and Batman has to do something about it, I don't think he would kill him. Because he's always gone by that rule. Batman would actually, like, maybe resort to something else, like subdue him, or if he would kill him, it wouldn't be this gruesome. Like, you see Superman is, like, pretty much, like, sharp stuff that's on Doomsday usually, it's like rocks right through Superman. It's deadly. But guys, you see Devastator is like, man, I beat him. Is it time? I saved everyone, but he looks around, no one's left. Everybody's dead. He's like, I beat Superman, but it was too late. Everybody's gone. All my friends, my family. But then he's like, that's what I thought. He's like, that's what I thought happened. But Batman Blast shows up, and he's like, no, what if I told you, on this world, everybody believed in, like, the hope of Superman, but eventually turned on them, and they kept up that lie until they were dead. But you stopped it, but it was too late. But what if I tell you another world is experiencing the same thing? You can stop it now. And the Devastator's like, tell me where it is. And that's where he gets transported. He teams up the evil Batman, teams up Barbados, and finally he makes it to our Earth, the DC Universe. So, we shift back to the present day, and we see all these people returning into, like, Doomsdays, pretty much. They're, like, slowly turning, they're getting infected. Lois is like, how come I haven't been infected yet? I'm the carrier. And Devastator's like, well, you pretty much were under Superman's red sun for so long, you're pretty much just going through a slower process, but eventually you'll be Doomsday too. And we see Devastator get blasted by Supergirl. And guys, it's also like an advertisement for Damage, which that's like another New Age of Heroes villain, which is actually kind of similar to Devastator. Because you think about it, he's another powerhouse, but still, you go to the next page and you see Supergirl and pretty much Superwoman, which guys, Superwoman, she's another character in DC Rebirth. Not the greatest comic series, but still kind of interesting. It was lame, and she has Superman powers, kind of cool. But they fight out Devastator, and Supergirl's like, I got this, and Lois is like, don't touch him. Because if they touch him, they come even more powerful, but Doomsday. So that's not good. But we then shift, and we see all these people returning. Lois grabs like a hood, and she's going up to John, who's the son, and he doesn't know about this. He's like, oh, stuff's going to shit, but Superman and Lois are fine. My mom and dad are fine. He shows up and tells them about, like, the plan. If Superman was gone, and she was pretty much going bad, and all that was left to save John was like a room. It's inside their apartment, it keeps him away from everything, and he's safe. So she puts him in that room, he can't get out, and he's like, no, the good guys and the bad guys, they always win. He's like, what's happening to you, Mom? And Lois is like, calm down, just keep thinking about hope. And she turns into a Doomsday, guys. She turns into a Doomsday. And she has like a freaking Doomsday hand. It looks pretty creepy, guys. We see that, we shift to the Devastator, he lifts up the cosmic tuning fork, and he's right by, he's like a shock of lightning. He has the same stance that he had on the cover, pretty cool. And you see Commissioner Gordon is like, look up in the sky. Oh my god. You think you'd be like, look up at, like pretty much up in a way. Like, we always see like up in the sky, like Superman, like that's hope. But this time, hope's gone, guys. And pretty much what Devastator is saying is, the DC Universe has always thought of saying like Superman's hope, but it's a lie. It always leads them to bad situations, and he's taking that out. So that's his whole plan. He fulfilled Barbados' plan with getting the cosmic tuning fork, but he also took down Lois, took down the whole city, and Superman's gone. So Devastator's like, I'm doing a good job. And that's how it ends. You see Superman in the Dark Multiverse. The world's going insane. It's going into chaos. And Superman's in the Dark Multiverse, and he's pretty much just being drained of that life force. No way to get out. Well, that's what we think, until we get to Dark Knight's Metal, number 4. And actually, Superman doesn't get out his way. Bruce actually saves him. The one who's in the Dark Multiverse right now, and he's going crazy too. So it's a lot of bad stuff going on, but the Devastator is such a fascinating character. Tony S. Daniel, he's legit. Like, Tony S. Daniel, he draws it so well. Like, for example, that page looks dope, and then another page that looks, the next 2 pages look cool. And then my favorite one, though, would probably be, let me find it, either this one with, like, Lois, Flash advertisement, but with Lois, or it'd be the one where, like, he hits Superman. This is actually probably the best one. It's just how it shows, like, he's slowly growing into the thing, and he hits Superman right by the head. It's just so good, guys. It looks really good. The pencils are very well. Like, this is some of Tony S. Daniel's best work, and it shows. And then Frank Tier, his writing's really good. The Devastator, it like really fits his character. Like, he shows that Bruce got insane at this point. Like, yeah, Superman's killed everybody, but it also feels like, okay, Bruce, I get you. Like, you did this because Superman killed everybody else, and you think Superman's a bad guy now. You put your trust into him, and they turned on you. Not the one in our universe, but the one in his universe. So it's actually pretty compelling, really good. But the best part about this is the throwbacks to, like, the death of Superman. That big storyline in, like, way back, I don't know what comic it was. It's something like Superman, Man of Steel. I think it was Man of Steel. It was like crossover between Man of Steel, Superman, different comics, crossover. And Doomsday was like built aeons ago in Krypton. He came to Earth, fought Superman, and Superman died right in Lois' hand. He came out as a hero, killed Doomsday, destroyed him, but then he was dead in Lois' hand. That had a big impact on Superman readers. Yeah, a big impact on me. Like, I didn't read it when it came out. I wasn't born yet. But later on, when I read it, it's a big deal. And I actually have a copy of it, guys. I have a copy of the story, and it's huge. It's really awesome. And guys, I got it right here. This is the Death of Superman right here. Looks pretty cool. But guys, I haven't opened this one. I've read it on digitally, alright? I'm not going to open this. Because I found this at like a comic book shop. It's the whole part of where he died. It's not like the whole big storyline. It's not a huge storyline from start to finish. But like pretty much the ending and the really important stuff where he died. And then like the memorial where all the heroes like mourned him. It's a big storyline. It really impacts you. But like that image right there, just showing Lois just holding him when he's dead. And like the Superman cape pretty much replacing the American flag on the thing. Like, that's just crazy. And just seeing that come back in this comic was really cool. And it really bumped it up. So at first I was like, okay, it's okay, alright, Devastator, cool. I like the Doomsday versus Global stuff. But it didn't really impact as much. But then I looked at it, I'm like, oh, there's Death of Superman references. There's all this stuff here. And it elevated for me. So I'm like, alright, it's a decent comic. But this alone really adds it up. Like, obviously it's not the level of like the Red Death one, the Bad Last one. I love those. But this one's still solid. It's really great. And if you read this series, Death of Superman, you'll know that like all this stuff in this comic really impacts you. You're like, wow, this is really good. Now guys, it's longer than this. Like, you can look it up digitally, go read it on Comixology, all that stuff, and it's a really great storyline. But just like that issue where he dies, it's a double page splash page. We see like Lois on one side, Doomsday Sophia on the other side. Lois is holding Superman's dead body. It's just really good, guys. But guys, with the explain part of this issue done, let's get to my review of Batman Devastator #1. So guys, this issue was dope. It was really cool. Tony S. Daniel's art was really good. The Devastator was a cool villain. It's very fascinating. His look looked awesome. When you like punch Superman and stuff, it gave me those vibes. Like, wow, this is really cool. And then also like seeing Lois, she's turning and the emotional impact she's having with like John, it really hits you. And then also, like I said, the Death of Superman stuff hits you too. But I already talked about that. That's a great storyline, but it hits you in this issue. but also seeing like Devastator, he's working for Barbados, and that fight between him and Lobo was cool, where he like swings Lobo around, throws him into the sun. That was just good. How Tony Samuel like put the panels in order, and how he like drew it was just so cool. But yeah, guys, this overall issue wasn't a lot. Like, there wasn't much. Just Devastator showed up. He infected people they took out, he took the cosmic tuning fork, and he was successful in his plan. It also is backstory of how Superman was evil, Batman came Doomsday, killed him, and then with the battle left. That's it. But just how it's drawn and how the flow of the story goes, and that's why I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. It's solid. It's not like the great, it's not like one of the best parts of Dark Knight's Metal. You can skip it if you want, but I still recommend it. It's really cool. So guys, diving right in, we got a dope cover right here. Guys, this cover looks amazing. Like, you see the Boundary Lass, he has like the chains and like the evil Robins literally just running at the page. Yeah, the other covers look great. Like the Red Death one looks great, the Devastator one looks great with him on like a gargoyle. That's really cool. But this one, the cover, it just screams Joker. Like, it just makes me think of Joker and Batman combined, which is great. And guys, it's written by James Tynion IV, which is actually probably one of his best work, I think, because it's a really good issue. And James Tynion, or Tynion, however you pronounce his last name, usually overwrites a little bit, but here he does. He actually writes very smoothly, and it's really good. And then the art is Riley Rossmo, and usually I don't like his art, but his art here fits it so perfectly. Like, guys, usually Riley Rossmo, his artwork's very weird, it doesn't work as well. Like, the only other series other than this issue that works very well is probably the Batman the Shadow series, which is like a 6-issue miniseries, they crossover, which is really good, and Riley Rossmo's art fits perfectly there, and it fits good here. But in terms of like other stories, his art just doesn't fit. But good news, Batman Last and all the sinister stuff that happens in this issue, it fits perfectly with Riley Rossmo's art. Now guys, diving in, we first start off and we see Batman Last, and he has like a deck of cards. You have like this whole table, it's a black background, and it's pretty much explaining like, oh, there's Superman, who's like an outsider who came to help. Wonder Woman, who's always fighting for everything to be like right. There's Batman, who's always like striving to be better in the darkest times. And it's like, then there's the Joker. He's like, he's pretty much like a wild card, and he's always unpredictable. Like, he's never predictable, and you can't really tell what he's gonna do next. And this is pretty much the story of what happens when Joker goes full on. Like, he's not just insane, but he's so unpredictable, pretty much all of Gotham is falling. And guys, we shift to Earth 22, right? Gotham saved many years ago in the Dark Multiverse, and we see all of Gotham is just getting destroyed, and it's pretty crazy. And we see Batman on the floor, he's tied up, and Batman's pretty much bleeding from his mouth, he can't talk, and Joker just explained to him like, oh, it took a little while, but I figured out how to pretty much end this whole rivalry between you and me forever. It's been going on so long, and guys, this goes back to like the Killing Joke. In the Killing Joke, Batman actually asked the question, he's like, some day, this thing's gonna have to end between us. Like, one of us is either gonna die, or you're gonna go good. So Batman and Joker, the rivalry has to eventually end, and that's what Joker's trying to accomplish here. And Joker's pretty much killed a lot of people already in this whole assault on Gotham, and he's telling a story about Commissioner Gordon. He's like, that poor guy, I killed him too. Pretty much when he infected with like the Joker gas or the Joker toxin, and as Commissioner Gordon was dying, pretty much laughing to death, he was trying to say his daughter's name, Barbara, who was Batgirl. And guys, as you remember in like the Killing Joke, Joker shot Batgirl and pretty much posted pictures showing Gordon pretty much like inflicting trauma on him. Like, Joker has done some like bad things, and he's pretty much showing this and telling it to Batman's face and laughing about it. And Joker tells him, he's like, he killed all the different villains. He went throughout the city, killed off Penguin, killed off Catwoman, killed off the Riddler, a lot of bad stuff. And Joker's like, what happens when the joke goes too far? It's time to end it. Batman's pretty much stuck. He can't say anything. And then what we see is Joker's like bringing the family on, and we see a family. It's like, oh, it happened this way, right? How your parents died. Pretty much it's a family of two, mother and father and a daughter. And they're walking out of a theater, right? And Joker shoots the mother, shoots the father, and we see the pretty much daughter, she's freaked out. She's like, what's going on? And Joker's like, it's fine, don't be worried. You're gonna be the first little kid to live in the new city built by me and Batman, working together. And Batman's like, no, don't do it. And you see her slowly start to laugh, and she pretty much dies right in front of Batman. It's like pretty sinister stuff, guys. And then Joker's like, there you go, bring on the next family. And Joker's like, you're gonna keep having to watch this, Batman. And the next family's coming by, and Joker's about to shoot, but Batman just jumps out. He's like, Joker! He jumps at him, and he's like, stop! And Joker's like, finally, let's do it. And he's pretty much like, unleashed, like, kill me. Because that's what Joker wants to do with this. He wants Batman to kill him, and then Batman becomes him. So that's pretty bad. But Batman jumps on Joker. He's like, stop. He's beating the crap out of Joker as he's saying, like, stop doing this. And Joker's like, it's gonna keep happening. If you don't kill me, I'm gonna keep killing people. I'm gonna keep pretty much inflicting all this trauma on people. And Batman finally decides he breaks Joker's neck. Yep, he breaks Joker's neck. And you see Batman, like a little toxin comes out. You see Joker is dead in Batman's arm. He's smiling. You see this green toxin going to Batman's face. You're like, what's that? Oh, crap. Batman's gonna be infected with the Joker toxin. Now, not in the way that, oh, he's gonna die from laughing. No, he's gonna be inflicted with the madness, and now we're gonna have like an evil Batman. So yeah, we go pretty much 2 days later, and all these different kids who were like injected with the Joker toxin are at like the Watchtower. And you see Batman, Superman in there. Batman's talking to Superman, telling him he's like, he was dying, Clark, about Joker. And Batman's like, I don't know how chemicals came out of him. They hit me. I don't know what's happening to me. He's like, I think I'm fine, but I had to end it. I had to kill the Joker because he was just pushing it too far. And Superman's like, are you alright? And Batman's like, yeah, I think I'm fine. He's like, if you're asking whether I'm going to slide down the slippery slope, like, is he going to go insane? He's like, no, I won't. It's okay. And Superman's like, that's all I wanted to hear. And we see him talking, and Superman's like, I spoke to Star Labs, they can't really cure these kids, like, they're pretty much all insane now. And Superman tells the story, like, yeah, one of, like, the nurses, I think it was, like, one of the psychologists tried to help out this little kid, but the kid slit her throat. And Batman laughs. He's like, huh. And Superman's like, what the hell, what's wrong with you? And Batman's like, oh, sorry, that wasn't funny. So it shows that Batman is going insane. So 3 days later, we see the Bat family, and we see Batgirl, Tim, Nightwing, and Jason Todd. Damian's not here, we don't know where he is, and we see them fighting out these different 3 hours. They've been fighting out these different Batbots, which is usually for like training, right? But the Bat family hasn't trained like this in a while, so they're kind of surprised. Nightwing's like, why is he doing this? And Tim's like, I don't know, but I know how to disable these bots. He's disabling them. Tim's doing a good job. Barbara's like, but we need a plan. We need to figure out what Batman's hiding. And Nightwing just straight up beats a body. He's like, hey, Bruce, come out. I know you're hiding something, but we're your family. Just explain it to us. And that's when Batman comes out, and he tells you he's been hiding behind a computer this whole time for like a week, since he killed the Joker. And he says like pretty much a chemical is exposed to me, probably Joker toxin, and I'm going insane and I can't deal with it. I don't want to hurt anybody. I've been like stuck in this loop trying to figure this out. And Tim's like, have you told anybody? And Batman's like, no, I haven't told anybody. You're the first one that I'm telling this. And pretty much Diana's like, don't worry, we can do this, Bruce. And Bruce's like, hey, we gotta figure out a way how to stop this. She's like, maybe we can put you somewhere and cage you up before you turn, or put you in the Phantom Zone. And they're all going over like brainstorming ideas to stop this. And we see Batman, he's kind of smiling. It's kind of weird. It's like a picture, you zoom in, and Batman's smiling. And we're like, this ain't good. This is not gonna turn out well. But then he goes back to being serious. He's like, no, none of that will work. We need to figure out a better way. And Barbara's like, don't worry, we'll help you out. You've helped us out. This is what you've been training us for. And Nightwing says the same thing. It's like, we've been waiting for this whole time. We've all been inflicted with trauma by the Joker. Nightwing, he's been inflicted trauma on him. Barbara got shot. Jason got killed. Tim, he's had some stuff done to him by the Joker. Like, Joker's done a lot to the Bat family. And Nightwing's like, this is the final joke. This is his last thing he's going to do. If we stop this, there's no more trauma. And Nightwing's like, you prepared us for this. And Batman's like, yeah, that's the reason I brought you here. You got you four, Jason, Barbara, Tim, and Dick, or you guys were pretty much the very first ones to find out because you're smart. I trained you. And that's why I need to get rid of you. And Nightwing's like, what are you doing? And that's where freaking Batman pulls out guns and shoots Jason in the head, shoots at Nightwing, shoots Barbara, shoots Tim. They're all dead. And you see pretty much Batman just laughing as he just guns them down. And it's a pretty gruesome sight. He goes from pretty much calm Bruce to pretty much laughing and saying something you weren't prepared for. They weren't prepared for Batman to just like unleash and kill him. So this is a big scene. There's a big twist in the book. And what we see next is pretty much 1 week later at the Watchtower. We see one woman dead. We see Flash in the background. He's dead. We see Martian Manhunter cut in half, guys. Like, he's cut in half and his head's actually detached too. And then we see like Plastic Man dead. Hawkman in space, way in the back. He's dead. and we see Superman's eyes are red. He's walking around kind of like a zombie, like he's like pretty much had a lot of trauma. And Batman Who Laughs comes out. He's telling them, I was in the Watchtower for all this time, planning to beat all of you. Because if anything went wrong, but now that I'm evil and I have pretty much Joker's madness, I can use all this stuff to kill you. He's like, too bad I can only kill you once, because there's so many ways that I'd like to kill you. He's telling this to Superman, and Superman's like, don't do this. This is evil. Stop, Bruce. And pretty much Batman Laughs is like, this is going to be way better. This will be very fun. Because Superman's like, when you beat all of us, all the civilians, all of Earth will go against you. They'll fight back. And Batman Laughs is like, I hope they do, because it's going to be fun to kill them. And we see Lois and John. John has red eyes. He's like pretty much scared. Lois is like, what are you doing? What's going on, Clark? And Batman Laughs pretty much tells them that, hey, there's this thing called Black Kryptonite, and it makes a Kryptonian or a Superman/Supergirl evil. And he's like, I pretty much infected Superman and Superboy with this Black Kryptonite, so they're going to turn evil and kill Lois and kill each other soon. And Batman Laughs like, I used it on Supergirl. She killed her whole family, all the people, all her friends, everyone she knew, and then she died because she pretty much decomposed from this Black Kryptonite. Now, then Batman Laughs comes out, and you see Damian Wayne, and he's like, yeah, he's an evil Robin, and Superman's like, you did this to your own son? Why would you do this, Bruce? And Batman Laughs, he pulls out the Black Kryptonite, and he pretty much throws that Superman, and he's laughing as pretty much Superman and John are pretty much tearing Lois apart. They're killing Lois. And Batman Laughs draws a smiley face with blood on the window, and he's just laughing. And then we shift to pretty much him on like a throne of pretty much dead skulls. Like, that's pretty gruesome. You have the evil Robins around him, and you see him, he's like, every villain, everyone on Earth, I eventually just destroyed it, because all the villains went against me. I was pretty much Batman and Joker combined. He's explaining this to this guy, and we'll get to that guy soon. But he's explaining stories like, pretty much all these villains, they try to go against me. I killed them. I made up a plan. I was pretty much planned for everything. Killed all the heroes. Killed everyone. He's like, but I knew it felt right, but I knew I would have potential to do more. And that's when Barbados came along. And he saw that I had greater purpose. And I was ready for it. He pretty much told me that this Earth was destroyed, my Earth, but now there's another Earth that I can inflict chaos on. And that's when Barbados, Batman Laughs, went to the regular multiverse, the positive multiverse, and he met with all the evil Batman, Red Death, Bird Machine, Dawnbreaker, the Drowning, the Devastator, and pretty much all this has been going on. No heroes can stop them. The dark multiverse is coming into our Earth, pretty much the positive multiverse, and Batman Laughs is like, this is all because of me, and he's just laughing, guys. He's happy about this. And then we see him, and we see this huge splash page to explain this. Batman was the king of planning everything. He's very smart, but he would never like win the war because he had this rule of not killing, of not going into madness. And he's like, the Joker card can be used in like a deck, and it can like stop everything, but it can always be beat by like a king. But if you combine those two, you combine the king and the Joker, you have an unstoppable force that can never be beat. And Batman Laughs is like, that's pretty much what I am. I'm unstoppable. You can't beat me. I have the smarts of Batman. I plan for everything, but I also have the madness and unpredictability of Joker. And you see him talking to this guy. He's pretty much bandaged. You can't see his face, and he's like, yes, a Hannibal Lecter type chair thing. He's in like Hannibal Lecter type wraps and a chair, and he's just like sitting there listening to all this. And Batman Laughs is talking to him, and it's pretty much like resembles from the beginning when Batman couldn't talk as all this madness was going on. So now this guy, he can't talk as all this madness is going on throughout the multiverse. And Batman Laughs explained that you've seen a lot of crisis, you've seen all this bad stuff happening, you were able to stop it, you were always able to like plan for it. But with me and Barbados, we can't. And Batman Laughs then burns the Joker card, puts it down, and he says that soon the dark multiverse will be here. And we see this awesome splash page right here. Like, look at that. We see an evil Superman that has like a big like teeth all around. Looks like he's gonna bite you. Like, if I saw that, that'd be scary. And then you see like these evil Martian Manhunters, evil Wonder Womans, evil Green Lanterns, evil everything. And Batman Laughs is like, it's coming soon. And it's like, a Batman who laughs is a Batman who wins. And he just starts laughing. And then it says, continue in Dark Knight's Metal number 4. Now guys, pretty much, not spoiler alert, but if you haven't read issue number 6, I would stop here, go read, or actually go check out my video where I explain it. But if you have read and you know that story, then you know that the guy was wrapped up in what the battle lasts the Monitor. Now, the Monitor, he pretty much has, at the beginning of creation of the Anti-Monitor, he was like the protector of the Multiverse satellite. But he's always teamed up with the heroes to stop like evil villains like Superboy Prime, different like Anti-Monitor from like destroying the Multiverse. But now he can't fight out that Batman Last or Barbados because he's chained up, he's pretty much captive, and he has to rely on Batman and Superman to save the day. But as we know, at this part of the storyline, they're pretty much stuck at the World Force. They can't do anything with Wonder Woman, between Conjure, they're fighting off different things. So it's a pretty crazy storyline, and the Batman Last explain that they're like one of the greatest villains that these heroes have ever fought. But guys, for the explain part out of this video, let's get to my review of Batman Last number 1. Now guys, this issue was really good, mainly because like Riley Rossmo's art really sold like the sinister quality of it. Like that double page splash page of all the evil versions of Batman, Superman, Green Lantern, and Wonder Woman, really, like, it looked scary. It looked really good. And guys, especially that page for Batman just like guns down the Bat family, that was just crazy. When I first read this, I was like, what? Like, it went from, oh, this is a good comic, like, okay, I'm interested in the Batman Last, oh, wait, what did he just do? Like, it's that crazy. And seeing the Batman slowly go into madness, and seeing, like, we've seen before in, like, Joker and Batman storylines that Joker is killing people, and he's trying to make Batman turn to, like, madness, but Batman's never done this. So with this storyline, he actually did, so that's really interesting, I like that. And guys, with the ending, with the whole Monitor, Batman Last just talking to him how, oh, you can't fight the darkness, Barbados and me are the greatest villains you have ever faced off. Well, that's not true now, because obviously in Dark Knight's Death Metal coming up, we got Perpetual now, and that's pretty powerful, so that's exciting to see what Batman Last is going to do there. But the Batman Last is one of like the best characters created in recent memory, because he's pretty simple if you think about it. Batman and Joker combined, that's it. But how he's used and how he's executed, all the crazy stuff he does, going against Lex Luthor and Year of the Villain, teaming up with the Legion of Doom, but then backstabbing them, all that different stuff really like develops his character and makes it one of my favorite DC villains. Like, he's nowhere near Joker, like obviously, like Joker's always going to be one of the best DC villains, if not the best. But Batman Last does rank up in the best, like with Lex Luthor and Joker. But guys, overall, I'm going to give this issue a 9.2 out of 10. It's a great issue, totally recommend it. If you guys are going to read at least one Evil Batman tie-in, I would read this one first. Because yeah, afterwards you'd be like, wow, that's pretty gruesome, that's sinister stuff. Like, you'll feel like that, but at the same time you'll be like, that's good writing, it's good art, and it just makes Batman Last different. Like, he's not one of those villains who are like, oh, I want to destroy the world, I want to do this. It's not like generic. No, he's Batman Joker, one of the best like characters in all of history, like all of pop culture combined. Like, that's just really cool. But yeah guys, if you like the video, give a big thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to all these great TCons content every day that you don't want to miss. And yeah guys, that's the video, and peace out.